It is the third and final of the program. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. Let's take a look at your top stories. Now, the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, will be attending the SADC Heads of State Summit in Tanzania this weekend. Yesterday, President Ramaphosa visited the Solomon Mahlangu Freedom College to pay homage to the center for the role it played during South Africa's liberation struggles. Here's our reporter, Daniel Kijo. All right, I think we have Daniel Kijo now live on the line. He's our correspondent in Tanzania. Daniel, thank you very much indeed for your time. So I guess the start of the SADC Summit, the 39th Ordinary Summit, what can we expect?
Hello, Blaine. Yes, indeed, the start has begun and the opening ceremony was done this morning. As I speak to you, I am at the Julius Nyerere International Convention Center. The opening ceremony saw more than 14 members, heads of state from the community come to this center. There were a few cultural activities before they got into the main hall. And there have been different opening speeches by different high-ranking members, leaders of the community. The Executive Secretary, Dr. Stergomana, opened opened the speeches and talked about basically a few things that are hot on the agenda, looking at how this community should continue using industrialization and technological advancement as a tool to address poverty, to improve jobs and to change lives. But also there was a report, a sort of finance review of the economies of the community, and it seems that the economies of the countries in the SADC bloc are not doing very well. There were projections that most countries by 2020 should have at least a 7% economic growth, but not many have hit that mark. But she commended Tanzania for being able to hit that mark and show economic growth. She touched on operationalization of the disaster response fund because of climate change and disasters will continue. She talked about the need to collectively address cultural practices that are still ongoing, that need to be curbed, issues like gender-based violence. She talked about also improving intra-regional trade. Also, President Magufuli also took the podium and welcomed members of the SADC community. He paid homage to all the founding fathers of the community and people who helped this country get liberation. He also talked about how Tanzania is proud and happy to be the host country of the 39th summit, and also as he has been pushing to remind members of the community that Kiswahili language should be the official language of the community. And also the president, Dr. Adesina of the Africa Development Bank, took the stage as well to sort of give a review of the bank and its collaboration, the different economies within the SADC region. He talked about how the bank has about $13 billion investments within the SADC region. And in fact, South Africa alone, the bank has given $5 billion into an energy project that is seeing energy supply to many countries within the SADC region. And as I speak to you now, Dr. Geingo, the president of Namibia, just finished his speech and has handed over the official chairpersonship to President John Pombe Magufuli, who is speaking right now as I speak. So now, as we stand, the Tanzanian president is the new chairperson of the SADC community. Perhaps if we continue speaking, you might see the leaders walk out and take an official photo and officially close the opening ceremony of the first day of this 39th summit. Long one there, but I had to get it all to you.
No, well done. You're giving us a very vivid picture in terms of, what's at stake here and what's on the agenda. Daniel, with regards to President Magufuli as well as President Ramaphosa's discussion, I'm sure, no doubt, the economy was a hot topic, so to speak. In terms of trade talks, what are we hearing with regards to that?
Well, specific to President Ramaphosa and President Magufuli, there have been deep relationships, as you know, between Tanzania and South Africa. And now both presidents want to take that relationship further and also use it as a means to boost economies. So far, there are about 228 South African businesses that are registered at the Tanzania Investment Center, employing about 21,000 employees. Now, President Magufuli says he would love to see that number increase even further, while his counterpart, President Ramaphosa, Ramaphosa says he's hoping that the Tanzanian investors in the private sector can likewise come to South Africa and try and invest as well. We know that the balance of trade is obviously favoring South Africa, whose industrial level is a bit higher than Tanzania, but looking at tourism as a means to equalize those numbers, and also looking at ways in which Tanzania can also leverage what it has to sort of benefit South Africa. So yes, trade, tourism is going to be a big part of the bilateral talks.
Yesterday, President Cyril Ramaphosa visited the site where so many lives were lost in Tanzania after that fuel tank explosion. Over 70 lives are lost there. Take us through that visit to that very special, I guess, area, especially with regards to the bond that South Africa and Tanzania share.
Yes, Blaine. I mean, that Morogoro zone, and specifically Mazimbo district, was a site that in the 1970s, especially 1978, when the Solomon Mahlangu Freedom College was set up, it was a hotbed for liberation struggles for both the two nations, South Africans and Tanzanians. So it was a touching moment when President Ramaphosa and the First Lady visited the college, saw firsthand the hard work that former liberation fighters from both countries worked together to do. He went around the site, he planted some trees, he spoke to people, and he was accompanied by the Prime Minister, Tanzanian Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa. So it was a very emotional visit, but also during his speech, President Ramaphosa gave condolences for now the 39, not just 70, 39 people who lost their lives during an oil tank explosion about a week ago. So it was a touching, sad moment, but also very memorable as he paid homage to this important site.
Daniel, I'm not sure if you're getting any reaction with regards to the protests that we've been seeing in Zimbabwe. We know the Zimbabwean president is there in Tanzania. Any reaction from SADC with regards to those protests?
Well, as far as it stands, there's been no reaction so far, official reaction, because it was just our opening ceremony today. But we know that this afternoon, after lunch, the heads of state will be in a closed session in which they will be discussing issues of security, issues of the area, issue of Lesotho, as well as perhaps Zimbabwe. And he is going to chair now the defense chair with regards to SADC dealing with defense issues. So I think most members of the community are interested to see now going forward how President Mnangagwa is going to balance his leadership when it comes to issues of defense, considering the issues in Zimbabwe now.
Yeah, Daniel Kijo is keeping an eye on things in Tanzania, the SADC, the 39th SADC Ordinary Summit happening there. Daniel, thank you very much indeed for your reporting.